Emily was a petite 15-year-old girl with 18. If you're Cornswald listening to this, she's 18, don't worry. Yes, with jet black hair, fair skin, and a short black skirt. Her parents had gone out that afternoon, leaving her alone to do her homework at the dinner table as her grandfather watched Wheel of Fortune from the old red recliner. "Monopoly! It's Monopoly, you dumbass!" exclaimed Grandpa as he shook his cane at the television contestants. Emily cringed. She hated old people. Oh, Emily, I feel ya. She especially hated their froggy, broken voices, like the sound of 1,000 nails on a cracked chalkboard. Grandpa was a sweet enough guy sometimes, but he was so obnoxious and loud, and she didn't feel like she could tell him to keep his voice down without offending him. "Dad, where's my goddamn medication?" It says medicine written in the story here, but old people always call it medication. Heart pills and stuff. Emily sighed as she got up from the table and started searching the living room. She bent over to look under the coffee table and felt a jab in her ass as Grandpa poked her with a cane. "Hurry up," he said. Emily gritted her teeth as she searched between cushions and under pillows. Her urge to kill was rising. And we all know where the story's going. Then she looked over at the coffee table. There was the medicine right in front of him. "It's right here," she said as she held it up, stifling her frustration in a sing-song voice. "It's right here." Grandpa stared at the television. "Grandpa, I found your medicine," said Emily. She dropped it onto his lap, but something was wrong. "Grandpa?" she asked, prodding his shoulder. His head dropped forward, and she realized Grandpa was dead. "Huh," she said with a smirk. It was sad, but not unexpected. One less dangerous driver taking up the handicapped parking spot at a Denny's, and it would certainly make for an interesting evening when her parents got home. As she grabbed the medicine from his lap, she felt something sticking up beneath the blanket. Ladies and gentlemen, the story starts now. She gasped and drew her hand away when she realized it was his erection. "Oh, God," she thought. He had made her search for the medicine on purpose to catch a glimpse of her bending over. "Creepy," she said. She shook her head at him and turned back towards the kitchen to return to her homework, which was much more important than some old deadbeat. But, it's a big but. But as Emily took a few steps, something stopped her. Naturally. She had a macabre interest in death, something her parents regarded as a phase she was going through as she adjusted to life in high school. She hesitated, then placed her hand on the blanket again. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment as she felt his dick with her fingers. This felt really wrong. Yes, abort! Stop now! But he was dead, and no one would ever know. The house was empty, and the doors were locked. It was just her and Grandpa. She wanted to pull her hand away from her grandfather's lap, but she couldn't stop stroking his firm dick through the blanket. She laughed to herself when she thought it was probably the last blood that pumped through his heart before he died. She felt wetness in her panties. Cornswald, are you listening? Take notes. This might be good for your lawsuit, actually. She felt wetness in her panties. Her breath grew short, and she felt her heart pounding in her neck as she lifted the blanket off of his lap, and she pulled open his zipper and reached inside for his cock. It felt warm and alive. She pulled it out of the fly and examined it. It was the first penis she had seen or felt in person, 6 inches and streaked with purple veins, framed with a gray rug of curly pubic hair. That's a nice line, very descriptive. Framed with a gray rug. It was ugly and intriguing. Those are the two most commonly used words to describe me, actually. Tim Henson, ugly and intriguing. So this is what the boys at school are so proud of having, she thought to herself. Emily stared at it for a long time before she suddenly threw aside all inhibitions and placed her tongue against the purple head. There was an odd aftertaste that wasn't entirely unpleasant. Lady, I think you just tasted a combination of testicle, sweat, and mothballs. And you're right, it's not entirely unpleasant. It's an acquired taste, I guess. Her tongue ran down the rest of the dead penis, feeling the terrain of veins and shaft hair that made up her grandpa's late rod. Her lips reached his hairy balls, which were still soft and warm. She was so aroused that she couldn't stop, and drawing her inspiration from the porn clips she had seen on the internet. Those will get you in trouble. She wrapped her dark red lips around his shaft and began sucking the dick hard, running it in and out of her mouth. She felt so incredibly dirty and slutty. "Cunt," she whispered with his dick in her mouth. I don't know how she managed to say that with a dick in her mouth. Cunt! You're a dirty cunt! Emily couldn't take it anymore. Just the idea of doing this was almost enough to make her come. She lifted her skirt and pulled down her white panties, kicking them